Welcome back. The program is the Afia Morning Show. Thank you once again for joining us this Wednesday morning. I am Nathalie Uku, and Oji is evidently here. Oji, good morning.
Good morning.
How did you sleep? What is the problem with saying how was your night in Nigeria?
Why would you say how was your night?
How was your night? I mean, it's not a problem here, but if you do that abroad,
it's not a problem here. But then again, English is English everywhere, right? So it's just the same meaning everywhere. Worldwide, by the way. So how was your night is not the right thing to ask. Unless you guys were out last night and then
multiple interpretations.
So you just have to ask, but how do you do? How did you sleep? That's the correct question to pose to.
Exactly. How was your night? Just in some climates and some cultures appears intrusive. So it's better to ask, how did you sleep? Or did you sleep well? Just keep it simple like that. Of course, we're not here by ourselves. We're also going to be asking, not how was your night, but how did he sleep? Barrister Nnadime Opokansi. Also, Nnadime Opokansi is here, constitutional lawyer, property consultant, and lawyer. He also leads the obedience movement here in Enugu State.
Thank you. I don't think there's anything even wrong with asking how was your night. Because in English language, you have what we call the transformational generative grammar. Then we have the traditional grammar. The traditional grammar is the one Aji was trying to postulate. The transformational generative grammar is the one once your person you are speaking to understands you, it makes its own normal meaning. So I don't see anything wrong with the new coinage of how was it, because it is a new English. And such things originate from the West, especially the United States. I've been an examiner in English language for about 15 years. So I talk authoritatively when it comes to the word, the language, English language. So, but nonetheless, for quite some 25 years or thereabout, I've abandoned that English language for another profession. So, but be that as it may, there's nothing wrong with how was that. My night was cool.
Okay, all right. Let's leave it at that. Well, I think it's let's not complicate issues, right? Let's begin. Let's move now to the front covers of our Nigerian newspapers, and as you may already guess, the news making the news this morning concerns former President Muhammadu Buhari, who was interred in Daura yesterday. We'll begin our review with The Nation. And the top story: Buhari exits in blaze of glory. Tinubu, African leaders, governors, ordinary folk bid ex-president farewell. Katsina Daura locked down. US UAE visa issuance. Federal government begins action on issues of concern. Akpabio appeals judgment on Natasha's suspension suit. 79 Ponzi schemes in operation. SEC warns stock market capitalization rises to 127 trillion naira. Away from The Nation, moving on to Nigerian Tribune. The Patriots all-inclusive confab begins in Abuja. Delegates set to discuss future of constitutional democracy, plan to draft people's constitution. Sea of Heads as Buhari's state funeral in Daura features full military honors. Tinubu, Shetima, Atiku, African leaders, governors, military leaders, ministers, family, others pay last respect. Dangote to wealthy Nigerians, invest in Nigeria, reveals how he built $20 billion refinery. Visa overstay, respect immigration regulations of host countries, federal government tells Nigerians. Gunmen kill 27, destroy farms, burn several houses in Plateau community. And straight to this day. Buhari buried in blaze of glory with full military honors. Tinubu goes above and beyond to honor his predecessor, creating new presidential precedent. Sadiq Khan seeks to boost collaboration in business tech with Nigeria. On The Punch, final salute. Nigeria bids Buhari emotional farewell. Tinubu, Akpabio service chiefs, governors pay final respect amid tears tributes. Daura stands still as Katsina Airport records over 130 flights. Osibanjo ex-governors join African leaders. Saudi King Prince mourn Buhari. North Central states mobilize joint security to crush bandits. Nigeria's oil output soars above OPEC quota. Over 420 federal roads completed or in progress, according to the federal government. Awujale's burial frees Yoruba kings from ritual slavery. This according to Oluo. And on The Guardian, Saudi Arabia Moroccan King Mon Buhari prays service to Nigeria. Dangote faults capital flight, insists on investing in Nigeria. Leaders, friends, politicians unite in stately farewell for Buhari. Lawyers bicker as ABAS inaugurates boards, commissions. Nigeria meets OPEC quota first time in 5 months, falls short of 2025 benchmark. Senate declines Natasha's recall, insists no binding order. TikTok restricts 211 million offensive videos, removes 3.6 million from Nigeria. And lastly here, Fresh Plateau onslaught, claims 20, injures several.
Okay, starting from Daily Independent. Cashew expansion drive, investors eye 7.2 trillion naira inflow into economy, set to reposition Nigeria as world largest producer. Target production capacity of 2 million megatons by 2030. Buhari, end of an era of man with many perspectives. Why US UAE slammed visa restrictions on Nigerians by FG. 17 years after spending 60 billion naira, digital switch over project still in limbo. Akwa Ibom seals $3.5 billion gas deal with NNPC GACN. Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians to invest in the country. Says he defied odds to build $20 billion refinery. Tinubu bows before Buhari's remains as he is laid to rest. Lastly, right here, Ondo government firm to sign MOU on establishment of oil refinery. Moving over to Salient Times. Buhari body laid to rest in Daura with full military honors. African leaders pay respect. FJ addresses new US visa restrictions, says UAE yet to communicate revised policy. Governor Wifuru reshuffles cabinet, redeploys information commissioner orders. Why I support ADC's coalition but remain in PDP, attributed to Lamido. Woman kidnaps ex-lover, forces him to sleep with her without protection to remove rituals. And this one says Amechi wears stubborn as Buhari's burial in Daura. Moving over to The Matrix. Reduced visa validity for Nigerians. Presidency finally opens up. Decision was based on current rate of visa overstays by Nigerians. Ex-APC chairman John Oyegun joins ADC, blames ruling party for Nigerian woes. NNPCLGACN, Akwa Ibom government signed $3.5 billion MOU on gas industrialization. Deal signals South's commitment to driving gas industrialization to shared prosperity. Buhari laid to rest. Tears tributes as Tinubu Shetima dignitaries bid ex-president farewell. Maman Daura, we were already planning to return to Nigeria. Moving over to Daily Sun. Buhari, the end. Mammoth crowd bids ex-president farewell. Tinubu leads mourners as UN, EU, Saudi king, Moroccan king, other world leaders pay tributes. Visa row, FG pledges diplomatic resolution with US, UAE, UK begins issuance of e-visa for Nigerian, Pakistan students, workers. Uzodinma flags off 2 million AI trainees in Imo. Southwest doctors threaten strike over unfavored allowances. Committee violations. TikTok removes over 3.6 million videos in Nigeria. And lastly, on Daily Sun, local government election. Lagos PDP rejects outcome of LG polls. Heads to tribunal. LPYPP orders demand results cancellation. Lastly, the Vanguard. Tinubu, some African leaders bid Buhari farewell. Ignore Buhari's 8 years in power. He was a good man, attributed to Kuka. Says late president was a good man. Buhari's statesman who came, saw, conquered, attributed to Sultan. I will carry your memory with me. Buhari's daughter Late president goes home in blaze of glory, honor, as Afe, Babalola, Mustafa, Emami, Dixon, Pantami pays tribute. We are yet to receive formal communication from UAE on revised visa policy, says FG. Government allegedly killed 20 in Play 2 nights raid. Ex-APC National Chair Oyegun registers with ADC in Edo. And lastly, again, Nigeria misses budget 2025 crude oil output target.
Thank you so much for those headlines, Oji. I mean, like they say, dust to dust, ashes to ashes. Barrister Fokansi, we're looking for a Southeast perspective on this matter. We've heard from the national dailies, we've heard what the entire country thinks, but what does the Southeast think about the interment of former military general, former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, you see, I won't speak for the Southeast. Definitely, I won't speak for the Southeast, but I will speak from my own perspective. But I think I will start my analysis of this demise from Kuka's statement.
Yeah, that ignore Buhari's 8 years in power. He was a good man.
He says, live his 80 years. Look at the man, Buhari. Because we talk about administration, that it was a colossal failure, ordinarily speaking. And the use of Nigeria, apart from the cabals that benefit and the leak they make of our common patrimony, the use of Nigeria, nobody holds Buhari in any high regard administratively. But for people who know him as a military leader...
All right, just hold that thought. We need to go on a quick break now. When the Morning Dew returns, we'll continue getting your perspective on this matter. Do stay tuned. The Morning Dew returns in just seconds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Dew. Thank you for staying tuned. The barrister Ofakansi is still here, and I'd like you to continue with your line of thoughts.
Yes, I was actually trying to anchor my speech, like I said on Kuka said, that we should ignore his 80 years rule and look at his person. If you look at his person from the point of view from a military perspective, when he was a military head of state,
right.
I think, yes, that time I was a student in a higher institution then. Right. I just entered, I think, well, that was my year one. That was 1983. I think he had his crew in 1983, just when he overthrew Shagari and tried to tighten the economy physically, not even using the econometrics of economic adjustment. But nonetheless, people killed him. There was him with Tunde Diabo trying to compel Nigerians to be disciplined and their war against indiscipline. Before few months, 2-3 months, people try to comply out of fear. And from that out of fear, it's gradually becoming a culture. People now learn to queue in line in whatever they do. And that queue in line is still, sustained today. People like now, my friend, queue up. So that was Buhari that introduced it. People queue. Nigerians usually, when they come, everything will be rowdy. Now, the issue of having some dust cans in vehicles, so that you don't throw away any bet you have in your car outside to litter the streets, that also started with him. And this our last Saturday cleanup, they also introduced it. So if we can take ourselves down memory lane. But then, when he came back, a civilian president, well, age has taken its own toll. Usually he's not aware of anything anymore. If you ask him, he says, I'm not aware. So
I'm not aware. People seem to continue to reference, I'm not aware.
I'm not aware. Anything ask him, I'm not aware. So, but again, there are a lot of things that the man did, even as a military head of state, that we also bizarre. He promulgated the death penalty for drug offenses and made the law take retroactive effect. It doesn't happen in law. When you make law from the date that law is signed into power. You don't create a law today and then date it January this year. If you do that kind of thing, that you are going to kill somebody who did not commit offense.
That's right.
Deserving that punishment when it was committed. But Owo, the younger brother of Nkemo, the Nollywood actor, was one of the people that were murdered in that kind of decree. There were very many of them, young men who came back and got some tint of drugs in them, and they were condemned to death. And without even allowing, because the law, the constitution says the death penalty has to travel to the Supreme Court. That's the last place that will determine and confirm a death penalty. But the military decree passed, death penalty on drug suspects. And the president signed it, and they were summarily executed. So that was murder in the actual sense of the word. Then coming to but the brutalization also at that time, there was no respect for human rights. He created Umaridiko, not the same way he created Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. I think it's Kenya, yes. Umaridiko was from UK. He put him in a diplomatic crate and was trying to flow him to Nigeria. He had that penchant for creating people out of the normal convention. There is Interpol. If you want anybody, you get what they call a extradition order from your own country to the other country, and they will bring the person. Because no, you can't commit offense in Nigeria and run away to another place. Right. So if you go there, the Interpol is there to track you down and then get your extradition order and bring you back. So, but his style, he doesn't want to have that patience. He always like to create the person, through extraordinary rendition and bring the person back. He tried it with Umaridiko when it was rumored that Umaridiko, the rice that was bought during Buhari's era, that Umaridiko embezzled the money for it and bought the kind of rice that was used in feeding fishes in the ocean. So instead of trying to get extradition order to bring the man back, he went there, drugged him, created him, put him in there, was trying to fly him back to Nigeria. When the smart eyes of the British police caught the diplomat, they wanted to see what was in the diplomatic box. They altered it, lo and behold, it was Umar Diko, the former minister, lying in the crate. He also did it with Nnamdi Kanu. These things are things that you do in primitive societies. So it doesn't conform with the dictates of law. Every society is governed by law, not by the dictates and whims of human beings. He did that during that Umar during his own time. Now, in this civilian regime, it's also created with killing a lot of youths during the NSAS protest. That thing is still a very big minus for him. And any leader that doesn't support dissent opinion, dissent opinion, that leader is not yet in a democratic setting. So, within a civilian regime, apart, there are little or nothing going for him. That is why I say I anchor this thing first on, because a lot of headlines, all this mainstream media, President Buhari is sea of heads, okay, call cap of bows down, blah. You need to also capture the youths of Katsina singing that Buhari Yamutu, the next one is Tinubu. I never see that one. So these are the mainstream media, that's our brain. You people don't want to show us the other side of the clip. You always show us the beautiful clips that the world leaders are coming. How many of the African leaders pay tributes? You have not checked to know the exact population, the number, the indices, the numerical strength of African leaders. There are 54 countries in Africa. How many of them have not paid tributes to a fallen hero or a fallen dead president like the former president of Nigeria? So I don't think there's anything going for Buhari in the actual sense of the word. In these 8 years of civilian regime, he pulled us back. What do you call it? Jonathan left the dollar at about, I think, approximately about 200 something thousand naira or so to a dollar. And when Buhari came, he pulled it, I think, to 300 and then later pulled it back a little bit, and then it went up again. And from there, like people often say, Buhari killed Nigeria, Tinubu has come to bury it. So if I am to analyze, I have to say, I'm giving my own analysis from my own personal view. Because I saw him as a military leader. I also saw him as a civilian president. So either way, but it is only during his military era that they have one or two things. But those things were done by compulsion. As you compare people willy-nilly, whether they like it or not, they must obey. So I don't think that one is leadership. But then he was a military regime. Those things could be forgiven because he was wearing khaki. He said that he had pleaded with Nigerians, according to his wife Aisha, to forgive him, that he's human, wherever he has erred on anybody, that people should forgive him. Well, I don't think the man knows the meaning of the word, the dictionary word, forgiveness. Because if he had known that, there are a lot of things he could have forgiven. Because during the time of that Bartholomew, the whole world rose against it and was calling him not to execute the people. And he did execute them. So what type of forgiveness are they asking us to do? Now, during his tenure as president, insecurity soared in Nigeria. In fact, he imported the cream of the society, the Fulani society that has been terrorizing Nigeria. He imported them. I didn't say they came, he actually imported them because they thought Jonathan could not concede defeat. Now, he also recalled that during his campaign, I think that was in 2012 or thereabouts, he said the baboons and the monkeys shall be soaked in blood. And a lot of people, including about 4 coppers or so, some few coppers, I can't exactly give the number, but I know some coppers died in the process, those who were there to conduct the election, because of what the presidential candidate said. So these things are things that are going against Buhari. And people see Buhari as a harbinger of this Boko Haram insurgency, because at the time Jonathan was trying to crush this Boko Haram, his statements then were very uncomplimentary, because he kept on telling the world that Jonathan is trying to slaughter northern youths just to mop up the war that were killed during the war. So these things are things that are not supposed to be said by a leader or a statesman who intends to rule a state. Eventually, he became the president.
Right.
And now he was trying to tell us that we should give grazing ground to cattle rearers, as if to say cattle rearing is a national enterprise that all of us must participate in. But there are a lot of things going wrong for him. So whoever is celebrating his, whoever is praising his death or giving him accolades because he's dead, he's trying to obey the justice that you say nothing bad about the dead. That doesn't follow. When you are a leader, you are 2 people in one. You are a human being first, then you are the president of the nation. So you are an institution as well as a human being. If we leave you as a human being, we assess you on there. That's why I said I'm anchoring on Kuka's statement. As a human being, he's very frugal, very decent. He's a disciplinarian. In fact, come to think about austere lifestyle, he is an epitome of austere lifestyle. He doesn't believe in, a lot of getting a lot of mansions here and there, packing money in his account like Senator Abacha did. No, the man doesn't believe in that. As an individual, he's very disciplined.
Right.
But as a leader, I am scoring him 15%.
How do you think President Tinubu felt when he was receiving the body of former President Muhammadu Buhari? How did he feel when he was paying his final respect? How do you think he really received it internally?
Well, I think these are birds of the same feather. So there is nothing wrong. In fact, the difference between Tinubu and Buhari is the difference between 25th December and Christmas Day. If you know the difference between the two, that's the difference between of them. So I don't think there's any much difference in Tinubu. What if he shed tears yesterday? It is crocodile tears. Because so far so good. The 2 years and few months he has stayed in office, he is performing worse than Buhari. So how he's feeling is immaterial to me. If he feels so perturbed that a leader like Buhari is dead, so be it. What about millions of Nigerians who die every day in Benue, in Plateau, in Southeast, in Southwest? What about millions of Nigerians who are being kidnapped? Are they not the same human beings? So if the Tinubu feels anyhow about Buhari's death, so be it for him as president and as Tinubu. I don't care how he feels. But what I'm trying to say is that 2 of them are birds of the same feather. But Tinubu has boasted that he personally made Buhari president. Except that Buhari tried to truncate his chances during the primary election. But the man who's the dollar now decided to buy over everybody. So Buhari had to surrender. Because during the campaign for the primary election, there was this Naira swap, Naira exchange, Naira recoloring, and so on. But the Naira recoloring and the scarcity of funds we thought would affect the politician. We now saw bullion bank going to Tinubu's house. So the thing became a failure. So ordinarily speaking, I don't see any difference in 2 of them. If Tinubu is shedding tears, or if he is feeling remorse or remorseful, or if he's saying that, okay, a leader is gone, Nigeria is mourning, he may, and with some other kleptocrats that are in the administration who feed from our general patrimony, which I keep on saying, maybe they want money. But then there are still questions they have not answered. But that question, let us leave that question for social media. Even though Arise News took it up the other day.
Right, and that is the question concerning what happened in 2017.
Exactly.
There are speculations in quarters that that the former president died in 2017. Speculations, rumors,
Correct.
and that who was ruling Nigeria for the rest of the time frame,
Was a body
2017, 2023, was a
body double.
Jubril from Sudan. Right?
And later one of that human being.
It even goes deeper into the realm of this is the reason why Nnamdi Kanu was incarcerated, because he was spearheading that rumor, that school of thought that Jubril of Sudan was the one governing Nigeria after a prolonged 5-month stay in a hospital that the president had to receive treatment. So we would like to get your thoughts on that, but I'm sure Oji has important questions as well. Then we'll get to that.
Okay, like still talking about Buhari and effects down here in the southeast. You know, I think that was in 10th of June. Yeah, he made a statement calling the Igbo race, the IPOB, you know, that race a dot and a small dot in a circle. You know, was that presidential of him to make such statement? Because at that point in time in Nigeria, we know how things were going. Still does, by the way. You know, was that presidential of him? As all these things are tied to leave his leadership, and you know, let's judge him as a good man he is, right? So these are what we're trying to break down right there. Was that presidential of him? Let's forget about leadership right now. Being a human being, he was present and functional during the Nigerian Civil War, right? Regards to everything that happened yesteryears, the Nigerian Civil War, and coming to, you know, still the Igbo race fighting and asking for their own nation regarding all the marginalization that's happening in the nation, right? Was that statement, that singular statement he made?
I think, Oji, you see, Kuka said we shall leave Buhari's 8 years and face his person. But him, Kuka, did also not leave the 8 years. He still talked a little bit, if you read down that paper. And it is going to be difficult to leave that 8 years. Because like I said now in the middle of my speech here, that once you vie for an office to lead, you are creating two people out of yourself. And if you win, you become two people out of that your single self. One, you are an institution now, and then you are a human being. There's no way you can judge the human being without leaving the institution. There's no way you can judge the institution without leaving the human being. So Buhari is both an institution and a human being. The institution in him is the president. Then the human being is Muhammad Buhari. And if he opens his mouth and says a little dot in a circle, remember, that is not the only thing he said. He said that if he gives people who gave him 85%, 95% of the votes, we will not be said he will give someone who give him 5% of the votes. And you know, the Igbo man, like is mercantile in nature. The Igbo man knows a good market when he sees one. They know Buhari is a bad market. If Buhari contests election 1 million times, Buhari will not win an election in Southeast. He might get some splinter of votes, but that is not an election. I'm talking about where he will get a majority of the votes. It will still be maybe in the north. So, because the Igbo man, the average Southeasterner, even from Enugu down to Bayelsa, have seen that the man has nothing to offer Nigeria. They have seen through him. It is also the same thing that is even happening now within the politics. Remember, when Abiola contested the election, Abiola had about 95% of the votes in the entire Southeast. Abiola, because the Igbo man has seen him and seen that he has something to offer. Now, remember, Ojukwu contested the election as a president. Fine. The Igbo man saw through him and know that there's a difference between a military leader that was appointed, a radical who agitates, and somebody who has to turn Nigeria around. Not only Ojukwu, who again, in I think Mogalo also contested. People don't even know he was contesting during that period. But it's an Igbo man. But then, Obi arose in 2022. You saw the wave. Because of what? Igbo man has also seen. He has something to offer. Because that's why I say Igbo man is mercantile in nature. We read whoever comes to contest election. Abiola contested election. Abiola keep on getting majority. I mean, not Abiola, Atiku. He keep on getting majority votes in Southeast until we saw somebody who is better than Atiku. If there was no P2B, the Igbo man will still be tilted towards Atiku. Yeah. Because the Igbo man knows Atiku has something to offer, better than Buhari, better than Tinubu. So we are mercantile in nature, and we translate that our mercantility to everything we do in politics. So talking about the man's speech being presidential or not being presidential, the man doesn't even get what he says. That's why I said I cannot score him anything above 15% in terms of leadership. He has no leadership qualities. You see, it's just like what Tinubu did during his inauguration. After reading his speech, something that wasn't even in his speech, he turned around and said, fuel subsidy is gone. And Nigeria has not gotten out of that speech up until today. 2 years plus down the line. Just a single speech made by somebody who could not guard his mouth, somebody who could not plan before talking, somebody who could not, have something on ground before making a speech. That's what we are suffering today. That's why you have 1,000 naira and you can't buy a wrap of water. When before you take 1,000 naira to the market, at least you buy some painters of gari, some piece of water, and even some beans. But today, 1,000 naira to buy drink a bottle of beer, you pay 1,000 plus. Yeah. So that is the man's speech on inauguration, the 29th of May 2023. So that's what brought us to this level. And that's the same speech that has pervaded the entire Buhari regime. At a time, it was, what is his name? The other one that has been making speeches for him. The one that is now late, what is his name? I'll remember the name again.
He's chief of staff.
Chief of staff then. Kairi. Yeah. So it was Kairi that was in Nigeria before his own God called him. Now, as to address your question about the rumor mills of 2017.
Yeah, so let's just put it in perspective. Now, the Jubril from Sudan theory first emerged in 2017 after late former President Buhari spent months in a UK hospital. Yeah. Now, upon his return, people that are fueling this belief, the critics as they describe them, claimed he looked, sounded, and acted differently. Now, they were also trying to look at his ear, one of his ears, and they said that it looked different from what it looked like before he took ill. So your thoughts, is there any credibility in your view to this claim?
You see, when in law we say who alleges has to prove. Those people who allege, remember it came from a British parliamentarian first. Yeah. Even before Nandi kind of took it off from there. I expected Nigerians, the level of proof these people have given, have shifted the burden on the leaders of Nigeria to now say what they have tried to prove is not true or it is true. You also find out that throughout the whole of Nnamdi Kanu's trial, from the period was rendition from Kenya to Nigeria, that very issue of Jubilee of Sudan or whatever has never appeared in any of the charges. Because if they put it in any of the charges, maybe he tried to, raise conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace by alleging that the president died and the Jubilee from Sudan has taken over. They are putting it, you can put it as a charge. Conduct likely to cause a breach of, because that conduct or that statement, a lot of people believed it. They are putting it there that could have lent more reasons why Nnamdi Kanu, maybe if he's facing defense or putting up his defense, could have given more evidence as regards to that. And they tactically avoided that one. So I still believe, with all due respect to the Nigerians, that there is something they are hiding. With all due respect, because these people kept giving us proofs. Look at this man, look at this man. They compared it up there. Look at his ear, look at his nose, look at his speech. And he found out that the man simply came and said, I am Buhari, I am alive, some time ago. But that is not enough debunking of such a grievous statement. You should go or do better than that. So people still, even if you look at what I say, you mainstream media always talk about the good sides of what has been happening in Nigeria, which is also correct. Because let us not paint Nigeria in bad light so that we don't say we are condemning our country. People has not actually gone to dig deep into social media write-ups since that news broke 3 or 4 days ago. Some people will write, Google, when the Google it, you say Nigerian President Buhari is dead. Some people will write first or second death. So you see such questions. No, apart from Araya tried to address it the other day, through N13, who was trying to, say that the federal government should do better than just merely trying to sweep it under the carpet. Why am I saying this? Presidents or former presidents, if he falls sick and goes for foreign medical treatment, I think people should know. I don't know how many of you or how many of in the 40th of the realm. We are told that Buhari has gone so down in health that he's been taken to a London hospital. I don't know how many people know about it. What we now heard was he died in a London hospital.
He's been there for like 2 weeks plus.
I don't know how many days he stayed.
Now, there was a time that we did receive news that he was in critical condition, but then the news was now addressed yet again and said that he was in recovery mode. And that kind of made people feel that Buhari was going to recover.
Fine.
But now, Barrister Fokansi, let's face reality, the man is dead. So at this point in time, do you see the federal government coming to address the rumors concerning who Buhari was, whether he died in 2017 or in 2025?
I don't. No, I don't see the federal government coming to address it. They will feel they keep on hiding it under the carpet if it was true. Ordinarily speaking, London Guardian carried that news. Was it Assange? I think it was Assange, the other man with WikiLeaks. Immediately the thing showed on social media, the next day it was taken down. We were in court when we saw. In fact, somebody said you should copy this and paste, so they might take it down and say, how can they try it? This is our social media, this is internet space. Before you know it, the thing got down from London Guardian. Immediately the thing was seen, people were reading it in court that day. The next day, but that same day it was taken down. But we don't have a federal government that thrives in truth. That is one. If we will have, ordinarily speaking, that's what you said, what they should have done. They could have actually case where people have been claiming that Buhari died in 2017. You have now seen Buhari, look at his face. Journalists snap the face and then do your analysis. Doctors come and take the fluid sample and do the DNA, confirm to us and take the DNA to any independent lab to show us that this is the real Buhari that is dead. That's what federal government could have done. But like I said, Tinubu will not do that. You know very well that he will not do that. Because Tinubu, with all what is grappling with in Nigeria, plus the legitimacy body which is carrying, I don't think he will create another problem for himself, especially among some northern elites. Because if he goes to prove that thing rightly or wrongly, he might go into the bad book of the northern elites, not the northern voters. So the northern ordinary man in the street will even rejoice at getting the full facts. But the northern elite will not like it because they are still benefiting from it. Remember, this thing happened during Yaradua's time. Buhari is not the first. But the difference in Yaradua's own was that some people were not comfortable with that kind of
arrangement,
concealment. So Dorakiri, during the Federal Executive Council meeting, said, man, let us tell Nigerians the truth. This man is dead. Why are we hiding this thing? The Minister of Agriculture then was almost already Nigeria. So, and they have not forgiven Dorakiri until Dorakiri died. Nobody knows how Dora died. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a mobile anatomist. But I know that the North, especially those people in power in the North, didn't forgive Dorakiri for blowing that of Yaradua. Now, if they can do it with Yaradua, and Yaradua's wife will be going around, commissioning projects as a first lady when the husband had died since, what stopped them doing it with Buhari for even 5 years, if it is possible? So that's what I said. There's the law, we have what they call precedents. So this has happened before. So Buhari may not be the last. So I don't say nobody rejoices at the death of anybody. But what we are saying is that we live to die. We don't live to continue living. So if, for instance, tomorrow vacancy is dead, the greatest honor you can do me in this Afia TV is to say, our anchor, our news analyst, our newspaper analyst, blah, 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 vacancy is dead. And he show my picture. That's the only joy I will get.
But what if we write the guest?
Or the guest is dead. Yes. So, because who is usually nobody. Can you hear the guest?
Now, for some of our viewers that are wondering at this point, let's just also help them be carried along in this conversation. Now, we said that now the guest, because somehow in the control room, no matter how many times Barrister Vacancy also or Vacancy that you may comes here, they will still refer to him as the guest. We cannot hear you. The guest. Can you say something? Exactly, the guest. The guest. So that is why we're now saying that if God forbid something happens, we'll say the guest is dead. So
there's no point going to hide it. Maybe play my own video to show that I'm still alive when I'm not. So that's what I'm saying. But all the same, the man is dead, like you said. Whether the first death or second death is immaterial. The important thing is that federal government has finally made him be led to his final grave. So let us end this chapter and then discuss his legacies.
Right before we close the chapter, there are people who are looking at the body that was wrapped in a cloth covered by the Nigerian flag, saying that the body did not look like that of the late former president. Some people believe that they should have at least shown people. I don't know what Islamic rights say about that, but some people say they cannot confirm that I was the former president in that cloth, that sheet of cloth. Are you one of those people? Does it worry you that you did not have a chance to confirm that this was Buhari?
Well, our cultures differ. The Islamic culture differ in terms of death and burial. The Christian culture differ in terms of death. In the Christian culture, you put in a casket, you see the face of whoever you are burying. It will be open. People go around, see it, and pay their last respect. In Islamic culture, it's not like that. They wrap up. But nonetheless, somebody did the wrapping. That is the truth of the matter. Somebody did the wrapping. Ordinary, whoever must have done the wrapping, must have seen the face, must have seen who is wrapping. Because Buhari can't wrap himself. So somebody did the wrapping, and that person is the best person to ask. But people try to guess, either from the height of the thing in the glass casket, or from the leanness of whatever is in the glass casket, or what was wrapped. So, and all this is boiled down to speculations. There are people to ask that question, and they are there. People who actually did, even as they are, because they will bring you the person out and then just lower the body into the grave. That is Islamic right for you. They don't even need to bury you. They will take their distant back so they can use to bury another person tomorrow. So, but it is only in the southern part of Nigeria and the Christian community that we bury people with wood and the coffin and leave them there.
Has there been any high-profile burial of a Muslim, for instance, that his face was shown? Is there any you can recall at this point?
I wouldn't say authoritatively. I wouldn't say authoritatively. But then, no matter how profile you are, there is no high profility of any human being that will be more than a president of a nation. A two-time president of a nation, one as the head of state and one as the president. So they ordinarily need to sue Nigeria. That's why I said you cannot hide his 80 years of public life from him as a Buhari man. So Nigerians, he was our president. Whether rightly or wrongly, he was. So we need to know what happened to our former president. We need to see his face. I know he was the one who is dead. So they didn't need to wrap him up.
Barrister Vacancy, do you want to see his face?
Well, if I am opportune to see his face, I would like to see the face.
So you want to see his face?
Do you have the face in picture? If you have, show us so that the world can see it with us. But definitely, that kind of, when there is that kind of doubt and speculation, the only way to quell it is to make people see the face. You can wrap the other part of the body and leave the face.
That's right.
I want to ask this question because no matter how we see it or look at it, whenever you talk about late Muhammadu Buhari, it must tie to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So bring it down here to the southeast. What would this death of our ex-president be of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? You know, regarding his incarceration, and looking forward to see that at the end of the tunnel there's light. Him, having his space again.
Well, I think Nnamdi Kanu having his freedom all depends on the people in power as at present, not Buhari's era.
But they always have this say that the cabal.
That's where I'm going. The people in power, the cabal stay in power. But also, you find out also that Tinubu is trying to differentiate between the two cabal, the Yoruba cabal and the Hausa cabal. The Yoruba cabal are not much more interested in Nnamdi Kanu. They are not, with all due respect to them. The Hausa cabal, some of them too, are not also interested. In fact, they are even more pro-releasing Nnamdi Kanu than even the mild Yoruba cabal, if the word cabal actually exists. So I do believe that a lot of things are going in favor of Nnamdi Kanu for all obvious reasons. The judgment gotten from Kenya has been tendered, and I think they have brought it down to Nigeria. I don't think they would have, when they now domesticate it here and then tender it in court.
Right.
Now the judges will also look at it. But nonetheless, I keep on saying the political solution to Nnamdi Kanu's problem is still the only solution. Nnamdi Kanu's problem cannot be solved legally, because what the man is held for is not issue that is triable, so to say. Agitation.
One of the abuses.
Agitation for self-determination is a right guaranteed by even the constitution of the country that is holding him.
We're still going to continue.
They'll still release him.
We're still going to continue. It's great that we've already preempted the rest of this conversation. Bryce Advocacy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, now Buhari is dead. What does it mean for the rest of us? After this quick news break, we'll be joined by Ozo, well, not Ozo Nadimo Fokasi, but Ozo Iboneku Ogazimora, as we discuss Buhari and the rest of us. The morning show returns in seconds. Stay tuned.